All righty then. It's Friday. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning.
I know you like Fridays.
It is one of the better days. I have plans after work. I'm going to go frisbee golfing, then I'm going to play board games and hang out with my friends all night, and then I'm going to wake up maybe tomorrow and have another fun day. So, yeah, it's great.
Wow. That's what people do on weekends.
It's what John does. Hey, if you want to go frisbee golfing or play board games tonight, you give me a call. I'll hook you up. I got the stuff.
I'm sure I have plans. I don't know what they are, but they're not playing board games. I'll tell you. All right, we have a special guest in the studio.
That's right. We have Harlan Wells, city councilman from, of course, Missoula City. And we have
we bring him in from Bozeman.
And we've had Revalians in before.
Revalians?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you call
them?
Hamiltonians?
Well, the Ravalli County Commissioners. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
And so, anyway, we got Harlan in because you're considering some kind of referendum. Tell us what it entails and what it would mean if it actually came about.
Now, before we do this, first of all, you have assumed the mantle of Adam Hertz, and before that, Dick Haynes.
Yep.
Okay, of the what they lovingly call the loyal opposition on the city council. Sometimes you're the lone voice of conservatism, right?
Correct.
So you're continuing that role. So please go ahead. What's going on?
So basically taking that role, I have been the lone dissenting vote on a lot of things, but especially Mountain Water. And on Wednesday,
is there a lot of eye rolling whenever you do a vote, or?
Yeah. Well, to be perfectly honest, as long as I'm not talking about religion, politics, or finance, I actually agree with most of everything everybody else says.
Okay.
Problem is those three things are all we ever talk about. And they are nice people. We just disagree on some fundamental things.
Okay.
Mountain Water being a huge one. And on Wednesday, when the mayor was giving his presentation, and I was listening to some of them, and I think I was the one doing most of the eye rolling. It kind of came to me as an epiphany that we never really did do a referendum. We never really did get.
They had a survey,
they
right?
Had a scientific survey. The company that did that survey is a well-known liberal propaganda company that does all of Obama's, and it's a very. I mean, I'm sometimes in awe of the things they do because they are quite clever, and they use surveys to make people think that they're part of the majority. Well, everybody else agrees with it. I must have to agree with it too. But I'm starting to think that the liberals in this town yell the loudest, but I'm not quite sure they're the majority. So a referendum would be a really good way to find out if the majority of the people in this town actually agree with the Mountain Water acquisition.
Because whenever I watch the city council meeting and the mayor, of course, very powerful presence.
Very powerful.
And has
very
been
powerful very powerful man.
Yeah, but for a long time, if you will, the titular head of the Democratic Party in all of Missoula. And so when he says we're going to go after this because we don't want some out-of-state, multinational corporation owning our water, it should be ours, it'll cost, maybe $400,000 in legal fees, and we're up over, $5 million now?
5.3 from the city's side alone.
Okay, so, but just a little bit of an
understatement.
Understatement there. Well, so what you want to do is put the whole thing to a vote by the entire city.
Yeah, and just we now know what the purchase price is going to be. Basically, we have a general idea of what the legal fees are going to be. The mayor is correct that maybe not all of the 10 to 12 million will be our responsibility, but there's a good chance that it will be our responsibility the way the statute is. So the original survey, and I always put quotation marks around that, didn't ask did people support taking Mountain Water. They said do they support purchasing Mountain Water. So let's see what people think about taking Mountain Water in a very expensive way. If the mayor had been correct in that we could have bought it for $50 million, he said that we weren't going to have any water rate increases. Does he really expect us to believe we're not going to have water rate increases at $88 million plus legal fees? So I want to see what people have to say. I would think that the city council would jump on this because if they keep saying they've heard nothing but good things and that everybody wants it, and if in a referendum and they're right, everybody like me is going to have to shut up and just go with it.
Maybe they would support it if some of the individuals in Missoula were given superdelegate status to vote for the referendum.
No, well, get this. One of the council members who I will not put out, or I should say
You won't say their
embarrassed.
name.
You won't say their
reveal.
name.
You won't reveal.
Was
yeah.
very confused why I wanted to do it in the June primary instead of the general election. Of course, my instinct was, what are you afraid you can't win without the student vote? So, this could be a very telling moment in Missoula if it to find out if it's really as liberals think it is.
So I think the biggest problem that I have with the survey, the one that I read, was that it doesn't talk about costs at all. No. Although it does talk about purchasing, it doesn't talk about eminent domain procedures.
Correct.
And those two elements are huge elements in the case now, with the cost skyrocketing and it having to go through court. And I think that the public should be quizzed or polled, at least polled, if not given a formal referendum, to have their say on what they think about these issues, because they're quite different. I mean, even if you're marginal, you would say, okay, I think it might be a good idea to buy the Mountain Water Company, especially when the poll led you to that conclusion by saying, hey, everybody else has the water company.
Yeah.
They didn't say that nobody else happened to do it through eminent domain.
All right. Now here's the problem that I see. First of all, in American politics, in local politics, all over, things are more polarized than ever. Okay, people think, well, gee, the Missoulian is liberal, so if there is if they ran some sort of a poll in the Missoulian, the results would automatically come out. Well, yeah, everybody wants it. Okay, because whatever. If KGVO did one, then they would say, oh, well, the results are going to be against because, after all, KGVO's, they have conservative programming, blah, 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 blah. In other words, nobody is given the benefit of the doubt to have an actual, real, live, results that people can believe in.
Which is exactly why I would give a little pushback on John's idea of just another poll. We have a primary coming up. The ballots are already going to be going out. It'd be very minimal cost to add to it, and we would get basically 100% sample size of what people think. And
I'm not saying a poll instead of a referendum. I'm saying a poll if you can't get a referendum.
right.
And frankly, what do you think your chances are getting a referendum through the city council?
Well, it depends
Because my guess is pretty slim. I'm thinking magical unicorn slim.
Well, and I put out just a feeler to him, and the first couple council members that replied back were just basically like, absolutely not. I feel very strongly about this. We're going to purchase it. But that doesn't mean there's not enough people on here listening that call their local councilman and say, I would like it, whether or not you agree with it or not, I would like my chance to say my piece.
Well, let me ask you this. It's a foregone conclusion in my mind. This is never going through city council. There is a way to do it through signatures.
Correct.
How many signatures would you need? Have you checked with the election?
15% of the last general election, and I apologize I don't have that number with me.
Well, I know the last general election was not that crazy big. That was November's election, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Ooh. I don't know.
Or do you have to go to the last presidential election?
I don't know if it's the last presidential or the last
primary
or congressional one, so it'd be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can find out.
2014,
I did some quick research because I was looking to maybe put something on there simple as with signatures.
I'll make your work easy. Today after the show, I'll call the elections office and ask.
There you go. And if anybody wants to go around, if the city council members don't want to step up and give the people a chance,
And they won't.
Then let's do signatures. I mean,
They won't. Why should they?
I'm gonna give them until they actually vote no on this referral. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and say that they do have respect for the citizens and they're gonna give them a chance. In another week or 2 weeks, however long it takes for this referral process, if they shoot it down hands down, I may be having a different opinion.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We have Candy. We'll get her on in a moment. We're up against a break. I'm going to ask you a question when we come back. Okay. And I'm going to be channeling Hillary Clinton for just a minute, okay? Even if you're successful, even if the referendum gets on the ballot, even if it's overwhelmingly against, let's stop. What difference will it make? We're already so deep into this that to back out now would be, ludicrous. But at least that's what some would say. So
that's what a gambler would say.
We're going to come right back. Stay with us. Talk back. It is Friday. What more could you possibly want? John King, Peter Christian, and okay, Mr. City Councilor. All right, now I asked you the question, Harlan. Let's say you get this done. Let's say it's on the ballot. Let's say it comes back overwhelmingly. Hey, we've changed our minds. This is too much. Let's just leave it.
Well,
So what difference would that make, considering how far we are into the process?
Well, I'm really glad you asked, because that's the difference between somebody that, and I'm not accusing you of being a social liberal or but when you have a business degree and business background, you want, in literally day one of business school, they teach you about the sunk cost fallacy. If you've made a bad decision, you don't keep dumping more money into it.
Don't keep digging, right?
Don't keep digging. But if you're a social justice major, which is at least half the council members and the liberals, you think, oh, well, we can't quit now. So that was the same argument when we were $1 million deep,
Right.
when we were $4 million deep, when we were $5 million deep, when we're 10, 12,
15 trillion.
15
Oh,
trillion.
different numbers, different problem.
Well, we can't stop. Well, you
Okay.
can. You take that hit. You amortize it over a certain amount of time. You find some other things. You make cuts, and you stop it before it gets worse, because there are still a lot of other expenses that can happen. Even if we're successful if the city is successful with the Supreme Court, there's still going to be a lot of lawsuits going back and forth on how much we have to pay. And the valuation will probably get appealed, since now the city has changed what their definition of what was included. That $21 million in forward developers fees is still up in the air. So do we stop now and keep going? We stop now. If it's a bad bet, it's a bad bet. And I'm guessing the majority of the people in Missoula are freaked out and want to stop.
Now, I think a lot of Missoulians will be like, well, it's going to this Montana Supreme Court. It's going to be here in Missoula. Let's wait till after that, find out what happens.
Referendum wouldn't be till June. So the referendum would be basically saying, okay, now we know all the facts, because the city council still has to prove the final purchase. The mayor doesn't just get to write the check if they're successful. So let's find out what the people think.
Okay, so
This is a democracy, I think, right?
last time we checked, let's get Representative Republic anyway. Candy, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Yes, I in full support of Harlan doing this, because the city never got to decide in any way whether we wanted to do this. It's by edict that this came to us, and the poll was so skewed with such a low amount of people being polled, and we come out 55% in a progressive liberal Democrat situation. And we never got to speak on it. And this Monday night, one public comment was, why doesn't this city counter with their facts and their figures? And I think this is a way of Engen getting out of doing that, so the people could judge the differences and really see what they are, because he has no plan. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call.
Thanks, Candy.
Right.
I've got to give Candy some props. She shows up every Monday night, and through thick and thin, whether it's snowing, raining, and she comes out. She doesn't let things get her down. So, I agree with her on this, and I want to thank her for all she does to try and keep this city straight.
Okay, let's keep on going. We have one line open, by the way, 721-1290. Pete, you are on with Harlan Wells. Go ahead.
Harlan, keep up the good work. And comment I have from the mayor's comments in the paper. He's either totally unprepared to address the issue after all these months, or he does not want to address the issue because he knows the numbers. As you know from business school, you should have had a developed one operating plan with costs. And with those costs, the cost to purchase, the cost to service the bonds, et cetera, and the operating costs, the improvement costs, and what the new rates would be in order to support those costs. Rather than criticizing one publication and being propaganda like the lady that just called said, lay out your numbers, Mayor. Let's look at them versus the others. Put the cards on the table. And also with regard to Liberty's presentation in the paper, it was really conservative because, as I recall correctly, they didn't even put in the tax stuff that the mayor's committed to backfill the taxes that you won't be paying for actually a number of years.
All right, Pete, thanks for the call. So what do you think on his comments?
Well, those are more good comments, and I'd like to take that one step a little further. The mayor was very upset with Mountain Water / Liberty Utilities doing the worst case scenario in their costing, and I about rolled over in my seat because the mayor is not one to be talking about cost estimations. Pretty much every cost estimate he's given has been so far off. I don't put a lot of stock in anything he gives us for a cost estimation. It's for somebody that's that's fiscally conservative and has a business degree. It's absolutely frustrating, and I feel your frustration. And all I can hope is don't come this Monday night. There is no city council. But maybe the next Monday night we get some people out there and come out with these type of logical arguments, not emotional, and we get some of these other city council members to start seeing the light.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Come right back. We have Earl and Jay. Or is it Jay or Joy? I'm sorry. Earl and Joy coming up on with us. We have one line open as well. Harlan Wells is with us. We'll be right back. On Talk Back, Harlan Wells joining us here in studio. Let's get right back to the phones. We have a very limited amount of time. Earl, you're on with Harlan. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to throw my 2 bits in here. I think that we actually have 2 referendums because we have 2 groups of stakeholders, possibly 3. All of the current people that are recipients of bills from the water company are stakeholders, whether or not they want to change ownership of the water company. And then the people that are going to have to pay the bills of the city's newly owned water company, if they get that far, would be the property owners in the city of Missoula who are the end result for the taxing authority of the city to have to pay all of this run-up in costs. And if those 2 groups both don't agree, then this thing is dead. It should be dead.
Okay, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. All right, let's.
There's
That's
actually
Joy on line 1.
And there's actually a third group too. There's the people in the county that are on Mountain Water that have no say in this. My house is in the city, but we're on our own well. We're looking at this whole thing, being frustrated because we're going to probably end up paying part of this tax, whether win, lose, or draw, and we're not even on Mountain Water.
Okay, let's get Joy on the line. Good morning, Joy.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for having this show today because this has really been on my mind. I'm very upset with Mayor Engen. I just cannot believe that he would be this irresponsible with the city's money. I cannot believe there is no common sense anymore. He reminds me a lot of the president personally, just being able to do whatever he wants to do whenever he does it. It doesn't matter.
Well, he honestly believes he's doing the right thing, Joy.
Well, that's too bad. He got to step back and take a picture and look at the situation. Maybe go on a retreat somewhere and figure out why he's spending all of the city's money here. I mean, it's just incredible. Somebody's going to have to pay for all this. And for what? What is he going to do? Put fluoride in the water after this?
Well, and I'm glad you brought this up.
Thanks for the call, Joy.
I'm glad you brought this up because there's something I've been wanting to say for a long time, and this is the perfect time. The problem with Engenomics is eventually he's going to run out of the rest of our money. And this is exactly what's happening. That's copyrighted. So
There's a mix-up of a Reagan statement and a Thatcher statement.
there you go. Yeah. There you go. No, thank you, Joy. That's exactly what I've been pushing. And there are a lot of people in this town that are fiscally conservative but socially liberal, and this is one of those things where people can vote their fiscal side without having to worry about the social implications.
Okay, we got about a minute and a half. You want to get one more call in, John?
We can try. Hold on. AP, we're going to go on. His connection's so bad I can't
Okay,
hear it.
never mind. Okay, so with in the last minute, Harlan, give us your pitch to maybe those who've just tuned in of what this referendum would say, how it would be worded, and you got to put it before the rest of the council.
Yeah. So in summary, what I want to do is I want City Council to approve a simple referendum on Mountain Water, a simple yes/no, up/down vote that goes out with the June primary on whether or not the city of Missoula, the people of Missoula, want to continue on with the acquisition of Mountain Water.
Just yes or no.
Just yes or no. We now know the cost. We now know the estimated cost, the impacts to the people. We should be able to calculate the rate hikes that are going to happen, and just say, look, very matter of factly, yes or no.
Okay. Okay, we're up about out of time. How can folks get in touch with you?
You can call me on my cell phone, 544-7240. You can send an email to my personal email, harlanwells@gmail, or my city email, which is hwells@ci.
Whatever.
Also, there was one other person that
We don't have time.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, we're out of time.
All right,
so
thanks.
we will come back. We have another hour. Kirsten Pabst joining us at the top of the hour with her weekly report. So hope you'll stay with us. And thanks for joining us on Talkback. All right, here we are. Of course, it's Friday at 9 o'clock, and that means we have our weekly visit with the county attorney's office. Kirsten Pabst, unable to be with us today, but the chief deputy, Jason Marks, is joining us. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good, Peter. How are you?
Fantastic, sir. One thing that, since I cover justice court quite a bit, I have seen a preponderance in the last, several months of strangulation cases. And I was wondering if it's possible for you to elaborate on that a little bit and kind of talk about, how, from your perspective as a law enforcement officer, what's happening there?
Well, Peter, I'd say it actually goes back more than a couple months. We've really noticed it over, I'd say, frankly, last year and maybe a little bit more of these extremely serious domestic violence cases have really been on the uptick. We've certainly had strangulation cases in the past, but there just seems to be a larger number of them over the past year, maybe a little more.
Any idea as to why? Is it just more people coming forward, or?
I wish I could have an explanation for you and make some sense of it, but I just don't have one.
I would imagine that maybe meth might have something to do with that, because it does tend to send a person fairly out of control.
I mean, that certainly could be one explanation, and it's one of those things where we don't always know, an offender's drug use history in any great detail, especially if the offender and the victim were perhaps using drugs together. It's something that, she might be reluctant to disclose to law enforcement. So, that's certainly a possible explanation, but I don't have anything I can put my finger on that.
Well, I remember I had a conversation with a local doctor involved in criminology, and he said the problem with strangulation is that once someone is involved in a strangulation episode once, the possibility of repeating it and it ending in a fatality just absolutely skyrockets.
And that's absolutely true. And I would say the national statistics show that there's a very significant correlation between strangulation and domestic violence-related homicides. And in fact, the Gomez case we're prosecuting, the victim in that was seen for a strangulation injury. I think it was a week or two before she was killed. So there's definitely a high correlation between these extremely serious instances of domestic violence and subsequent fatalities and other assaults.
I was wondering if your office has been busy. I know last year we kind of did the year in review. It sounded like you guys were always packed. You always had the court docket filled up. And is the new year treating you that way? And do you think an early summer will keep you busier than normal?
No, we're definitely busy, and at or above capacity in some areas. But I don't think the change in weather has any particular influence on our workload.
Any special projects that you are working on as the chief deputy? Because I know that I see you around the courthouse in various duties constantly whenever I'm over there. So.
Well, I have a lot of irons in the fire. In particular, I do a fair amount of work in administration with our civil division as well as the criminal division. But I don't have any particular, I'd say, significant projects in the works.
Okay.
Can you give us a kind of week in review?
Sure. We filed 12 felony cases this week, and as Peter noted, there was definitely some significant domestic violence cases involved. The Glenn Sipangst, assault on the child, and then strangulation of the child's mother. We had Daniel Joseph Mitchell, which once again was a very serious domestic violence case. And we had a woman, Brenda Williams, who's back again for assaulting her children. So we had definitely had some significant domestic violence cases this week, a couple methamphetamine possession cases, and some other, I guess, just general.
I do note that we've had folks in from various child service agencies who have said that the rise in meth and drug use and alcoholism is really skyrocketing. Basically, the fact that they are more and more having to go into homes and remove children for their own protection because the mom or the dad is involved in meth or alcoholism or whatever, and it seems to be getting to be more and more prevalent.
And I would completely agree with that, Peter. We are, in our child abuse and neglect cases, we're up 27% over last year. And last year was a high number year for us, too. But we're up 27% over even that. And the attorneys that handle those cases would say absolutely there is a direct correlation between methamphetamine and the abuse and neglect of children in these cases. And we're seeing a lot more cases where the children are testing positive for methamphetamine exposure, just from being in the house with it, and people using it. So it's a significant problem our community is facing.
Well, if you remember, a year or so ago, there was an explosion on the University of Montana campus. Somebody was, I think, cooking off. It wasn't meth. It was something to do with marijuana oil, hash oil.
Yeah. Yes, I do remember that.
And so, and there was a child that was severely burned with that.
Yeah, it's I think fair to say that people with addiction issues and drug users are not taking into account the effect that their behavior is having on the children in their households. I don't know if it's just not thinking about it or not caring, but it's definitely a significant problem.
One last quick question. We've been following with Kirsten about a criminal mediation case that they've been trying. Do you know if there's any progress on that?
I'm not involved in that, so I don't have any progress to report to you on that. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, Jason, it's always a pleasure to visit with you, sir, and I hope you have get a chance to enjoy this beautiful weekend we have before us.
Well, I hope you guys get out and enjoy some sunshine, too.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. We're up against a break. 721-1290 is our number. We're going to do some open phones when we come back. A debate last night that is rich in sound bites, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. All right, 721-1290 is the number, and boy, a debate last night that it almost seemed like it was scripted to be like a comedy show, because the accusations were flying. The poor moderators couldn't get control. Everybody interrupting everybody else. Ben Carson saying, "Would somebody please attack me so I can speak?"
I'm here. I'm here.
I exist. Honest, I do.
Oh, let me read some of these. We've got a bunch of clips from the debate. I did want to read before we get into the debate, though, some of the comments we have on our Facebook page. Chad says, if it does get to a referendum in the city, he's talking about the prior topic before the top of the hour there. What about all the people in the county that are provided by Mountain Water? How can we help everyone who is going to be affected by the city purchase of Mountain Water have a voice? My guess would be that you find out who those are. It's going to be hard, and let the referendum go to them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian says, because of the way the council is designed, the referendum will be moot. As with the fire and safety tax the mayor was forcing, the mayor made it clear that priorities and essential services are, because he was elected, whatever he thinks they are. Hey, Brian might have a good point to a legal loophole there. Kitty says, Sorry, Kitty. I'm lost. Okay. 2 students will cost us more for bathrooms than it will cost us than what we're paying for the high school tax. I don't know. Sorry, Kitty. I don't know where you're going with that.
Well, I did do a story.
I think you're talking another story about your bathroom story.
The gender equity deal where, But
I thought we at Missoula had a plan not to plan.
Well, according to Mr. Thane, he has not heard of any specific instances where someone has been complaining, and brought up that issue, but he addressed it anyway. I thought it was very good of him to do that. So let's get to our sound bites, John.
Yes, they are fun. All right. Well, the first one's fun. This is my favorite soundbite from the whole show.
Okay.
This is back and forth. It started with Marco Rubio challenging Trump to explain what his health care plan was.
Right.
Because pretty much all that Trump has said, as far as I can tell, is that we're going to have a really great thing. And that great thing is going to at least consist of this one element, that one element being we're going to break down the barriers between the states. As you know, in Montana, we have 3 insurance plans that you can choose from. And other states have more. Some, I don't think actually anyone has less. But Trump wants to break down the walls between the states so that every state can access insurance no matter where you are.
Sure.
Here's how it started, and it got very humorous quickly.
All right, here we go.
So that's the only part of the plan? Just the lines, the interstate competition?
No, the nice part about the plan, you'll have many different plans. You'll have competition. You'll have so many different plans.
But now he's repeating himself.
No, I'm not repeating. No.
You don't repeat yourself.
Here's the guy who repeats himself.
You repeat yourself every day.
I watched him, talking about repeating, I watched him repeat himself 5 times 4 weeks ago. And
I saw
want
you
to tell
repeat yourself 5 times
it was a
5
meltdown.
seconds ago.
I watched him. Melt down on the stage like I've never seen anybody. I thought he came out of the swimming pool.
I said, well,
let's talk
I see him
about
repeat
your
himself
plan.
every night. It says 5 things. Everyone's dumb.
Senator
He's going to
Rubio.
make America great
Senator
again. We're going to
Rubio.
win.
Senator
He's
Rubio,
winning in the
please.
polls.
It's all true.
And the
Please
lines around the state. Every night. Same thing.
Senator Rubio.
I tell the truth.
Okay.
Now, you might have noticed that there was rather a vociferous crowd at the debate last night.
Well, okay, so some of the people that are in the crowd, some people filmed the show from down in the crowd.
Right.
And there is for sure what they're calling the Velociraptor. Some lady with a very loud scream.
Okay. Do we have...
We have the clip. You want to play it?
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, at the end of this clip, I've found a couple sections where people have videotaped the Velociraptor, isolated it, so you could hear her back to back what she sounded like.
Okay, here we go.
Trump has these great rejoinders, these great, shoot back right then when the audience is clapping, that obviously gives him sound bites. I do think that the audience was equally split, and whoever was the Velociraptor who was, crying out during Rubio answers, that was really
Who was the
interesting.
screamer? Right?
I don't know.
She was loud,
very strange.
and she was really into the debate.
Maybe it was Megyn Kelly.
I don't know if we should be rooting for her to be in Detroit or not.
I don't think so.
No, right?
So cute.
Just against your own ties and your own suit. All right.
You know what?
The second.
Come on down. You're on The Price is Right. Ah! Oh, Mr. Barker, I just love you. Okay, sorry.
The funny thing was, sometimes she would scream and Rubio hadn't even said anything.
I know.
Like he's just shuffling behind the desk. All right, that was. This is what I think was maybe the worst moment of the debate, and the reason why is it just got so out of hand. I was sitting there watching it. I've listened to it now twice, and I don't know what anyone's saying for half the time. I apologize in advance if you have the same difficulty.
Right.
But this is Trump versus Cruz.
Okay, Trump versus Cruz.
Before they get to this point in the conversation, they basically called each other liars for about 10 minutes.
So this is a 3-minute clip.
It's a little long.
So we're up against a break, so we'll do that when we come back. This is hilariously entertaining, but what is sad, if you will, is these are the people who want to be president, and so I guess you just have to jump in there and mix it up and get into the mud with everybody else, right?
Well, I mean, if you're fighting with Trump, I mean, how do you not respond?
See, the problem is when you wrestle in the mud with a pig, you realize the pig enjoys it. So
yeah,
that's a
good point.
We'll come right back. Okay, man. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's insane.
I just morph. Okay, 923-721-1290 is our number. All 3 lines are open, but we're having fun reliving some of the halcyon. Is it halcyon or halcyon? I don't know. Moments.
I think it's supposed to be halcyon, but I always read it halicon.
Yeah. So from the debate last night.
So this is the bitter butter battle between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz about who's the biggest liar. And it devolves into this just this amorphous sound. You can't understand anything.
Okay,
here it goes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what passes for a political debate in the Republican Party today.
There's a reason Harry Reid thinks he's the best Republican up here. There's a reason Jimmy Carter said he would support Donald Trump over me, because he said Donald Trump is malleable. He has no fixed set of beliefs, whereas Ted Cruz is not malleable. And every time anyone points at Donald's actual record, what he said on national television, Donald yells liar. Let me tell you something. Falsely accusing someone of lying is itself a lie, and it's something Donald does daily.
Go ahead, Mr. Trump. I watched the lobbyists. I watched what this man did to Dr. Ben Carson, who I respect, in Iowa, where he said that Ben Carson is out of the race. He has left Iowa, and he's out of the race. And I thought it was disgraceful. And got a lot of votes because of that. A lot of votes took him away from Ben Carson. I watched that. Probably took him away from me, too. But I watched it. I also watched where he did a form that looked like it came right out of a government agency. And it said on top, voter violation. And then it graded you, and it scared the hell out of people. And it said the only way you clear up the violation, essentially, is to go and vote for Ted Cruz. I watched that fraudulent document, and I said it's the worst thing I've ever seen in politics. To me, that was even worse than what he did to Ben. Senator Cruz.
I know
politicians, believe it or not, better than you do, and it's not good.
Oh, I believe it. No, I believe you know politicians much better than I do, because for 40 years you've been funding liberal Democratic politicians. And by the way,
I funded you.
The
I
reason
funded him.
you're welcome to have the check back.
I funded this guy.
Because let's
I
be
gave
clear.
him a check.
Yeah, you gave me $5,000.
You never funded me.
And by the way, let's be clear. Donald claims to care about his
but he sent me his book autograph.
Donald, I understand rules
Mr.
are very
Trump,
hard
you're
for you.
doing
They're
a great
very
job.
confusing.
I have his book.
Okay,
yeah, on your reality TV show, not in
Thank you
Donald,
for the book.
Donald,
Thank you for the book. Go ahead.
Donald, you can get back on
We
your
had a lot
meds
of fun
now.
up here tonight, I have to tell you. Thank you for the book. I really appreciate it.
Donald, relax.
Go ahead. I'm relaxed. You're the
sent him a
basket
book.
case. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get nervous. Go ahead.
I promise you, Donald, there's nothing about you that makes anyone nervous.
You're losing
people
so
are actually
badly.
watching this.
You don't know what's happening.
Gentlemen.
Well, if I'm going to ask that my time not be deducted when he's yelling.
Take control.
Okay, now.
The latest debate,
Hold on, I'm going to
please.
get my answer. He doesn't get to
I
yell in the whole
want
time.
to move on. These are the rules.
Excuse me, he called me a liar and then interrupted the whole time.
You'll have a chance.
Do I not get a response? Do I not get a response without being
You'll get plenty of response, so stand by.
My name was
I want to talk.
You know, nothing makes people want to vote more than hearing people fight over the debate rules. Yeah. That usually is what, you know, he's got my vote. Wow. Ah, man, watching two politicians call each other liar, you got to sit back and you're like, you know, I think they might both be right.
The Department of Redundancy Department.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Oh, all right. You want something a little bit more direct?
You know what I really would like to do is sometime between now and 10 o'clock. Do you remember Oberlin University we had this rash of
You mean
universities?
Oberlin College?
Yeah, calling about the fact that, you know, somebody said something that offended me, and so I had to go to the counselor, and they had to put me in a comment-free zone, so I wouldn't have to hear anybody disagreeing with me, you know, because it hurt my feelers, and so, you know, boo-hoo and all that. Well, somebody has come up with something absolutely brilliant that is a foil, if you will, that's called the Oberlin Choir, and it's by a group called Hotel Earth. And it is...
Well, the funny thing is when they first made this song, people thought it really was the Oberlin the Oberlin Choir. And so they're looking around for people involved in the Oberlin Choir.
Sure.
It was a gag.
Right.
And if you see the video on YouTube, the actual background emblem...
Now, can we link that to our... Yeah.
Oh, I could post it, I suppose. It says... feels not reals as the motto of the college.
All right,
so let's play the song.
So let's listen to this, and you kind of have to turn up your radio a little loud, It's a lovely melody, but the words might be a little hard to understand. So, but you will catch the gist as we move forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Oberlin quote unquote choir. Wait,
I was going to say, just so you know a little bit about Oberlin College.
Okay.
This is from Gawker, pretty left-wing site, right out of New York. Oberlin, a private college with $50,000 tuition, has entered once more into this year's tedious campus culture war debate. This is a recent story.
Right.
After hearing complaints that its sushi program wasn't good enough for reasons of racism, the place of learning has issued an apology. The New York Times reports that this particular campaign for justice began when students realized they weren't in a famous restaurant, but at a cafeteria in Ohio. Another article published by the Review in November detailed what students said were instances of cultural appropriation carried out by Bon Appetit. The culinary culprits include a soggy pulled pork and coleslaw sandwich that tried to pass itself off as a traditional Vietnamese banh mi sandwich, a Chinese General Tso's chicken made with steamed instead of fried poultry, and some poorly prepared Japanese sushi. Quote, when you're cooking a country's dish for other people, including ones who have never tried the original dish before, you're representing the meaning of the dish as well as its culture, Tomoyo Joshi said, a student from Japan. So, if people are not from that heritage, take food and modify it and serve it as authentic, it is appropriative. As a trillion people on Twitter were quick to point out, there is effectively no such thing as authentic Chinese. General Tso's chicken. Considering that it's an American Chinese dish.
Was that out of New Jersey somewhere, wasn't it?
Combining America's brutish lust for fried food with some Chinese-inspired signifiers.
And with that, we're overdue for a break now. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will listen in rapturous delight to the quote-unquote Oberlin Choir.
The outrage.
We'll be right back. No, you might think it's Fleetwood Mac, but it's actually U2, which was the Fleetwood Mac of the 2000s. But anyway, but I digress. All right, 721-1290 is our number.
Well, so we have this song about Oberlin College, but yes. I just wanted to follow up with something else I found.
Okay.
So the culinary masterpiece theater that is Bon Appetit at Oberlin College actually responded to the kids' claims that they were being racist with the food they were serving and apologized. So I'll just read the apology real quick and then we'll hear the song. Michael Gross, Oberlin's director of dining services, said in a statement on Monday that, quote, in our efforts to provide a vibrant menu, we recently fell short in the execution of several dishes in a manner that was culturally insensitive, end quote. She added, we have met with students to discuss their concerns and hope to continue the dialogue. On Monday, Bonnie Powell, the communications director for Bon Appetit, said in an email that the company would address student complaints. Quote, we appreciate the feedback we have received from Oberlin students, I bet.
Did you say feedback or feedbag? Sorry.
We're going to have a barf-in today. Our chefs are working hard to offer culturally sensitive menus that will appeal to the Oberlin community.
Can I have a corn dog, please? Who can I offend with a corn dog? Okay, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Turn up your radio really loud. You might want to put it in the window or turn it up or put the top down and let everybody enjoy this wonderful music with you.
If I ever meet the real world.
If I ever meet the real world.
I don't know what I will do.
I don't know what I will do.
If I can't get any Play-Doh.
Play-Doh, yeah.
Or watch puppies on YouTube.
Or watch puppies on YouTube.
If I'm forced into the real world and see things I do not like, or hear things I don't want to hear, or be triggered by someone quiet, please keep me from the real world.
Protect me from the real world.
Where my parents pay and pay.
Where my parents pay and pay.
To get me to the real world, where other people have a say. I once heard about the real world, where people can be mean,
People can be mean.
where there are competitions. What's a competition? The shocking trophies when you meet. My room is full of those. People might dare to correct me. I think I'm getting triggered. Tell me feelings are not facts. Inside a bathroom now. That kind of thing, it upsets me. It's worse than waterboard. I consider it out of town. I need more money, send it now. Please don't put me in the real world. Assuming it would take me. I'll never make it through. I'll never make it through. Just keep me in a safe space. Any university will do.
Any university will do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Oberlin Choir.
I think I'm getting triggered.
Okay.
It's worse than waterboard.
All right, here we go. Yeah, tongue in cheek all the way, but still. All right, Candy, go ahead.
Hysterical.
That was written before the sushi incident of that 2016. So they should have more. They should have another stanza now.
Yeah. I want to make a comment on the Trump thing with Rubio.
Sure.
The boundaries would bring competitiveness into the insurance thing. But he also said that he wanted to keep the pre-existing conditions in whatever health care.
Actually, a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, a headline in today's paper was Trump says he won't release his taxes, but that's not true. He said he can't release his taxes because he's undergoing
Yeah, actually,
audit, right,
I actually have Trump in his own words on that, which was a clip. Well, I'll play it right now for you, Candy.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that the pig in the mud thing, I hope that wasn't aimed at Trump. So thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call.
I can guarantee you it was aimed at Trump. I mean,
okay.
This guy has sullied himself by accusing everybody. And in fact, here's a great example. His back and forth with Hugh Hewitt.
Right.
This is one of the moderators of the debate. And Trump comes right after him. And look at how gentle and kind Trump is. Here it is. Here's what it sounds like.
Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Trump,
Are you going to
ask
anybody else a question?
No, this
Every single question comes to me?
Mr. Trump,
I know I'm good for the ratings, but it's a little bit ridiculous.
No, but Mr. Trump, a year ago, you told me on my radio show, the audio and the transcript are out there on YouTube, that you would release your tax returns.
True.
Are you going back on your
No, I'm not.
commitment?
First of all, very few people listen to your radio show. That's the good news. Let me just tell you. Which happens to be true. Check out the ratings. Look, let me just tell you something. I want to release my tax returns, but I can't release it while I'm under an audit. We're under a routine audit. I've had it for years. I get audited. And obviously, if I'm being audited, I'm not going to release a return. As soon as the audit is done, I love it.
Okay, so there you heard it. Trump being not a pig, not directly attacking anybody there or starting any kind of firefight.
Of course not. Not insulting the moderator at all.
Not doing that at all.
Yeah.
The thing that's really interesting about that, though, is according to, well, here's a quote. According to tax preparers like David, and you know what we should do?
What's that?
We should ask Walt Caro.
Yeah.
Hey, Walt, give us a call if you're listening today.
Yeah.
Does having an audit prevent you from revealing your taxes? Because others are saying no.
Okay, Tay, we're up against a break. 721-1290 is our number. Or if you're an accountant, if you know. If you are under an audit, does that legally bind you from releasing your tax returns?
No, but if you are under an audit and you don't release the full truth, everyone will know it sooner.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Oh, yeah! just play the music here.
All right.
For those of you who don't remember, that's the immortal Rolling Stones. All right. 721-1290. All three lines are full. That means you and I are automatically rock stars, John.
Is that? I don't know.
All
Maybe
right.
Sushi at Oberlin College is the real rock star.
It'll make you rock, that's for sure. All right, Tyler.
You might see stars.
Tyler, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
I'm fairly disturbed by all the segregation that's being promoted by the minorities.
Meaning what?
Well, I heard a call yesterday I thought was fascinating on another show. The guy called in and he was talking about how maybe it would just be better just to divide the United States up and give the black people half the United States and the white people the other half.
Actually, I have a friend who has maintained for years that the country should be split up either north-south or east-west, whatever, and have all the conservatives live in one part and all the liberals live in another, and see who eliminates their debt the fastest.
We've already done that. The liberals live in the big cities and the conservatives live in the rural communities.
Yeah, well, whatever.
There was a story a couple weeks back about a college, and I've been racking my brain all morning trying to remember which one it was, but they just recently built an all-black dorm. And they did it because they said that the young black men had such a difficulty studying when there was a distraction around, and that distraction was, white guys.
No,
and
I
so
don't. I saw this story. I think we're. It's basically it's like a Greek club, but they wanted to have only black members because the particular college that had it had a difficulty with low graduation rates with their black students.
Okay, so
and something like that, I don't see why anyone should have a problem with it.
Because it's segregation, John.
It's not
That's
segregation,
why.
it's self-selection. You should be able to make a group. I mean, it's our freedoms, it's our liberties to make groups with the people we want to group up with, right? So why should we be upset with people for doing that? I don't get it.
Have you ever seen that channel, that TV channel called White Entertainment Channel?
No, I haven't.
No.
There is a black entertainment channel, though.
But if the acronym WET ever gets used, I don't think it'll be for the kind of show you should be watching.
Well, if you look at, like, the Oscars, right, everybody's screaming because no African-Americans got nominated for any awards, but the host is black, but he's being challenged to, disrupt the whole thing because it's just not fair to all the races. Well, in one hand, they're screaming on, I want my own food. I want diversity in a restaurant on college campus, right? That's what that article is about. You're a sushi guy,
sure.
So, like, a black guy walks into a restaurant, he gets handed a menu that's for black people. A white guy walks into a restaurant, he gets handed a completely different menu.
No, I don't think that's what they were doing at Oberlin.
Well, I know I'm taking it to the extreme, but that's where we're headed, though. You got black people who are calling into radio shows saying, I want to divide the United States up. The next president, the next person who says, I promise to offer, I will give reparations to all blacks and Indians and Mexicans if you elect me president. Boom, he's president.
Well, that's already happened. Actually, Al Sharpton promised that a couple of years ago.
He called for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Tyler,
Thanks for your call.
Got to run, buddy. Thanks for the call.
By the way, Sharpton says he's leaving the country if Trump...
Oh, that's right.
It's the first positive thing from a Trump presidency, in my view.
All right. Emmett, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Well, about the whole college thing and the whole Overton and that song, I know the song is funny, but at the same time, I find this whole thing on college campuses of, you can't defend me, I need counselors and, frolicking puppies on YouTube.
I want a safe space.
The reason I find this so disturbing, is these people are going to go out in the real world and lead us. They're going to be our employers and heads of businesses, and they're going to fire Christians and anyone they disagree with on anything. If you say anything offensive, you're fired. People like you and I who have controversial views will not be able to hold a job or anything when these kids get out of college and start becoming employers, and that's disturbing. They're going to run this country. They're going to have people like you and me are going to be put in jail for saying things that are offensive. I think that's extremely disturbing,
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Thanks, Emmett.
Thanks for
the call.
Appreciate the call.
First, they got to get a job.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Christine, we have 2 lines open, by the way. Hi, Christine.
Hi. Maybe I'm late. I listened to you guys online, so it sounds like you guys moved on to the
No,
next.
whatever.
We are henpecking the whole world here. So
Okay,
What's up?
I'm calling to answer the tax question about Donald Trump.
Go for it.
Okay, first of all, there's some huge red flags in his claim. First of all, you can release your tax returns if you're under audit. Audit is basically just a review of what you've already filed. So if you've already filed it, I mean, we all know you can submit copies of your tax return whenever you want.
Well, let's put it this way, Christine. Let's say they're auditing his 2014 return, okay?
Yes.
So what's keeping him from releasing his 2010 through 2013 returns?
Well, and
Nothing.
here's the other claim he made. He said he gets audited every year. No.
He might do an internal audit, but
If you get audited every year by the IRS and they don't find anything, in other words, there's nothing illegal going on in your books, and they continue to audit them, you can sue them for harassment. Rush Limbaugh did.
Something would tell me if Trump's a pretty sue-friendly kind of guy. Like he has more lawyers than the city of Missoula. I could see him easily. By the way, we just paid 3 different law firms last week or this week on Monday. So I mean, you would think someone that is as sue happy as Trump would have them going after the IRS.
Yeah, well, don't you remember the big famous case in the Clinton administration? They went after Rush Limbaugh 2 years in a row.
Right.
And they went to go after him for a 3rd year, and he filed a harassment lawsuit and won, and he has not been audited since.
Interesting.
If you are clean and there is nothing to see here, the IRS cannot repeatedly audit you. It's harassment. It'd be like getting arrested for being out walking the street repeatedly with no charges. It's against the law to repeatedly audit someone who's clean.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate the update. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Have a great day. All right. 721-1290 is our number. We're up against our last break. It's only a minute, but we have all 3 lines open now. If you have been wanting to say something, maybe it's something we covered earlier this week or whatever, our lines are open. So
if you don't say something, I will force you to listen to more of the debate.
We'll be right back. Yeah. All right. I just found this treasure trove of Rolling Stones music. All right, 721-1290. I have it. John, I have it. Okay. There will be, I predict, I'm going to put on my foil hat, and I'm going to predict that in the next few weeks, there will be a startling revelation from the Donald Trump campaign. Donald Trump will suspend his campaign and say, all right, the only reason I have been running is so that I can put together the greatest reality show of all time. And it's going to be nothing but Republican and Democrat debates every week. And the more contentious the debates will be, the more they interrupt the moderators, the more they insult each other, the more you have people screaming in the audience, the higher the ratings will be, the more money he will make as the producer of the show. And that's the reason he's running for president.
It's going to be called Trump on the Stump.
I'm telling you. Is there anything more brilliant than that? I mean, you want to talk about a businessman, a long-term plan. Okay, I'm going to run for president. And who knows how I'll do? I don't know. But if I'm in the lead, they're going to come after me. They're going to insult me. They're going to jump on me. We're going to argue. It's going to be great. It'll be great television, and I'll be able to sell it and make another $1 billion. Woo woo! Quoth the Velociraptor. Okay, I got it all going on.
Self-referential.
Mike, you're on Talkback, man. What's up?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What's on your mind?
Yeah, these debates are such a joke and stuff. I mean, we're trying to pick a leader for our country.
I know.
And you sit there and have a debate, and you want to hear how they're going to sit there and fix these problems, and all they're doing is everybody is sitting there making cuts on somebody else, and you don't get to hear anybody sit there and speak.
Policy? What policy? Yeah.
It's a joke. I mean, whoever's going to be doing the commentary and stuff like that needs to get control and sit there and say, no more cuts. We need to hear what's actually going to take place.
Well, what
and
what
fix
what the
our
moder-
problems.
what the moderators need to have is a mic cancellation button. Seriously, when that little bell goes off, your mic goes off. You're done.
Yeah, that would
Because
train them.
These cuts and stuff like that, you're not hearing the whole story of what's actually going to do it. Instead, it's two little kids freaking fighting, and it's sick.
But
I mean,
it's
we got a
great
serious problem
television, man. You got to admit it's great television because it is an inch deep and a mile wide, right? There's no substance. There's just splash, and that's what America wants.
Yeah, and what's really bad is, I mean, we're in a serious problem here.
Yeah.
And everybody's thinking it's a joke. We're going to fall if we don't get a good president.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. Marilyn, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Good morning. I think the thing that bothers me about Donald Trump the most is we've seen our culture moving away from moral absolutes. And years ago, the Republican Party and the Democrats, the media, and everybody told us, to not go there with the social issues. We got away from calling them moral issues. We started calling them social issues. And so, anyways, back to Donald Trump, it really, really bothers me that he has made his billions off of casinos where alcohol flows and the mob has ruled and gambling.
Yeah, and addictions abound, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it destroys families. And it exploits the poor. I mean, there's all kinds of articles and percentages out there that show that it is the poor that go to these casinos with the hope of someday they're going to hit it big,
Right, yeah.
And so that's what has bothered me the most, I think, and his past record of supporting liberals. I can't get away from that.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden, supposedly, he's changed to be a conservative, and I never hear him talking about the Constitution.
Right.
So,
Marilyn, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much. Alan, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi.
I believe these so-called debates are really damaging the Republican Party image. It appears to
You
me
think?
that we've got children running for president.
Yeah.
It's really hurt us. I don't know why they're allowing so many debates anyhow. I think debates
Starts with an R and ends with an S.
Yeah.
Ratings.
But it's not beneficial to the Republican Party any longer to do this. And
I don't know if I disagree. I think I disagree with that. Debates are really healthy. If you've watched a Democratic debate, if you're one of the 5 people that did that, you would not see a passionate exchange over ideas. Now, frankly, some of these debates haven't been. And of course, we're picking the highlights that make this point, right? In today's episode, there were other parts of the debate which were formative. You got to see the difference between Trump and Rubio and Cruz on the approach to Israel, for example, which is an important thing that people need to think about and talk about because the executive branch has a lot of power when it comes to military. There were very substantive things, and it's really good for people to hear these passionate arguments put forth. Now, I'll agree with you that some people don't do a very good job of debating, but I think debate is always healthy.
Well, I think too many debates, John, and I think that's what we've had. I think if you have fewer debates, you're less likely to see this dissolve into name-calling and these kinds of things that are going on right now.
I think that, for example,
Rubio
hasn't
used to teach debating.
Rubio hasn't been name-calling most of this time. And even tonight, he really didn't name-call. He just pointed out things from Trump's past and got him off record, which I thought was hilarious. It really has to do with the people on the stage. I think more speech is always the answer, and more debates is a good thing.
Alan, we got to run. We're out of time, man.
All righty.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure talking with you. Wow. Thanks to Harlan, who was with us earlier, and thanks to Jason Marks, who joined us earlier this morning as well. What's coming up on Monday's fabulous? I believe it's Open Phones.
I think it's Rob Nadelson. Oh no. Yeah, it's Open Phones.
Open Phones. So we have.
Oh no. People that live on Mary Street. They'll hopefully be on to talk about what they think about the city's plan.
I'm sure. I'm sure they're thrilled and
Yeah, they're
excited. Yeah.
excited.
Anyway, you guys have a great weekend, and go Grizz, beat Weber State. See you Monday.